The letter arrived on a Tuesday morning, was eating rice and eggs when her tablet made a sound. She looked at the screen and saw the official seal of the Galactic Education Council. Her heart jumped a little. She had waited 3 months for this letter. Was 22 years old. She had short black hair and a smile that never seemed to leave her face. People often said she looked too happy, like she knew a secret joke that nobody else understood. She lived in a small apartment in Seoul with her grandmother. Life was simple and quiet. But wanted more. She wanted to see the stars. She wanted to meet aliens. She wanted adventure, so she had applied to the Interstellar Exchange Program. Humans had joined the galactic community only 50 years ago. They were still new, still learning. The program sent young humans to alien academies to study and build friendships across species. Opened the letter. Her eyes moved quickly across the words. Assignment confirmed. Student, destination, military academy, planet, VII, duration, 4 standard years. She stopped chewing. Military academy. That name sounded familiar. She pulled up her tablet's search function and typed the name. The results made her pause. Military Academy was not a normal school. It was a training ground for warriors. The students came from the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They were 8 feet tall with armored skin and claws that could cut through metal. They had 4 arms and teeth like knives. They moved like shadows and killed without sound. The academy had a death rate, an actual death rate. 12% of students died during training each year. The weak did not survive. The strong became soldiers, commanders, and leaders of armies. Read more. No human had ever attended military academy. Humans were classified as a Tier 3 species. This meant they were considered weak, soft, and unsuited for combat. The Galactic Council usually sent humans to art schools, diplomatic academies, or scientific institutes. Safe places, gentle places. Someone had made a mistake, a big mistake. Looked at the letter again. She read every word carefully. There was no error in her name, no error in her identification number. The assignment was official, approved, final. She should have been scared. She should have contacted the council immediately to report the error. Any normal person would have done that. Instead, started to laugh. Her grandmother walked into the room. She was a small woman with white hair and kind eyes. She looked at with confusion. "What is so funny?" her grandmother asked. Showed her the tablet. Her grandmother read the assignment. Her face became pale. "This is wrong," her grandmother said. "You must call them, you must fix this." "Maybe," said she was still smiling. "This is serious. Those aliens will kill you. You are small, you are human, you do not belong there." Stood up from the table. She walked to the window and looked outside. The sun was rising over the city. Millions of people were waking up to live their ordinary lives. They would go to work, come home, eat dinner, and sleep. Then they would do it all again tomorrow. Did not want that life. "Grandmother," she said, "do you remember what you told me when I was little, about our family?" Her grandmother was quiet for a moment. "I told you many things. You told me that our ancestors were survivors. You said they lived through wars, famines, and disasters. You said Koreans are stubborn. We do not give up. We do not break." "That is true," her grandmother said slowly. "But this is different. This is not a war. This is a school for monsters." Turned around. Her smile was still there, but her eyes were serious now. "Then I will learn from the monsters," she said. "I will learn what makes them strong, and I will show them what humans can do." Her grandmother stared at her for a long time. Then she sighed. She had raised since she was a baby. She knew that look in her granddaughter's eyes. Once decided something, nothing could change her mind. "You are foolish," her grandmother said, "but you are also brave, like your mother was." Hugged her grandmother tightly. "I will come back," she whispered. "I promise." The next few weeks were busy. Had to prepare for the journey. She sold most of her things. She said goodbye to her friends. She visited her parents' graves and told them about her adventure. The night before she left, she could not sleep. She lay in bed and thought about what waited for her. Giant aliens with claws and fangs, deadly training exercises, a school where death was normal. She should have been terrified, but all she felt was excitement. There was something wrong with her, she knew that. Normal people feared danger. Normal people ran away from death, but it had always been different. Fear did not control her. It never had. When other children cried during storms, watched the lightning with wonder. When bullies threatened her in school, she smiled at them until they became confused and left. Her psychology teacher had once called it abnormal stress response, just called it being herself. The transport ship came for her at dawn. It was a silver vessel that hummed with energy, carried one bag with her clothes and personal items. She wore simple black pants and a white shirt. Nothing special, nothing that would make her stand out. As the ship lifted off the ground, looked down at Earth, her home, her world, it became smaller and smaller until it was just a blue dot in the darkness. She did not cry, she did not feel sad. She only felt curious about what came next. The journey to VII took 3 weeks. The transport ship had other passengers, but none of them talked too. They were all aliens going to different destinations. They looked at the small human girl and saw nothing interesting. Just another weak creature from a weak planet. Spent her time reading about Academy. She studied the species that attended there. She learned about their strengths, their cultures, and their fighting styles. Knowledge was a weapon. She intended to use it. On the last day of the journey, the ship captain made an announcement. They would arrive at VII in 6 hours. Looked out the window at the approaching planet. It was a dark world with red clouds and black mountains. It looked angry. It looked dangerous. She grinned. "Hello, new home," she said softly. "Let's see what you've got." The transport ship landed on a platform made of black stone. The doors opened with a hiss and hot air rushed inside. It smelled like sulfur and metal. Picked up her bag and walked toward the exit. Outside, the sky was dark red. 2 suns burned low on the horizon, giving everything an orange glow. The ground was hard and cracked. In the distance, mountains rose like broken teeth against the sky. And there were aliens everywhere. Stepped off the ship and stopped. She had seen pictures of these species. She had read about them in files. But seeing them in person was different, very different. A walked past her. It was nearly 9 feet tall. Its skin was gray and rough like stone. Plates of natural armor covered its chest and back. Its hands ended in claws that looked sharp enough to cut steel. The creature glanced down at with yellow eyes, then kept walking. It did not seem impressed. 2 stood nearby, talking in clicking sounds. They had 4 arms each and bodies covered in hard shells. Their mouths were full of pointed teeth. One of them noticed and said something to its friend. They both made a sound that might have been laughter. Kept her smile in place. She adjusted her bag on her shoulder and walked toward the main building. The academy was huge. It was built from black metal and dark stone. Towers rose into the red sky. Walls surrounded the campus like a fortress. This was not a place of learning. This was a place of war. A crowd of new students had gathered near the entrance, joined them. She was the smallest one there. Most of the aliens were at least 2 heads taller than her. Some were 3 times her size. She stood among them like a child among giants. The other students looked at her with confusion. Some looked at her with amusement. A few looked at her with disgust. A push through the crowd and stood in front of. It leaned down until its face was close to hers. Its breath smelled like rotting meat. "You are lost, little creature," the said in broken common language. "The pet store is on another planet." Several aliens nearby made laughing sounds. Looked up at she did not step back. She did not look away. "Thank you for your concern," she said politely. "But I am in the right place. I am a student here." The stared at her, then it laughed harder than before. "A student? You? What species are you? I have never seen anything so small and weak." "I am human," said, "from planet Earth." The laughter stopped. The aliens around her went quiet. They knew about humans. Everyone in the galaxy knew about humans. The soft species, the fragile ones, the creatures who needed machines to survive in space because their bodies were too weak. "A human," they said slowly. "At Academy, this must be a joke." "No joke," said. "I have my assignment letter if you want to see it." Before they could respond, a loud horn sounded across the platform. The crowd of students turned toward the main building. The doors were opening. A figure walked out. He was but older than the others. His armor plates were cracked and from many battles. One of his eyes was missing, replaced by a glowing red mechanical eye. He moved slowly, but every step had power behind it. This was Instructor, the master of new students, the one who decided who lived and who died in the first year. Walked through the crowd. Students moved out of his way like water flowing around a rock. He stopped in the center and looked at the new arrivals. "Welcome to Academy," he said. His voice was deep and rough. "Most of you will not survive the first year. Some of you will die in training. Some of you will quit and go home in shame. Only the strong will remain." He began walking through the crowd, looking at each student. He nodded at some. He frowned at others. Then he reached. Stopped, he looked down at her. His one good eye and one mechanical eye both focused on her small form. "What is this?" he asked. "A human instructor," someone said from the crowd. "She says she is a student." Was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke directly to. "Human, do you know where you are?" "Military Academy," answered. "The finest combat training facility in the sector." "Do you know what we do here?" "You train warriors, you make them strong, you teach them to fight and survive." Leaned closer. His face was only a foot from hers. She could see every scar, every crack in his armored skin. "You are already dead," he said quietly. "You just don't know it yet. Your species is not built for war. You are soft. You are fragile. One hit from any student here would break every bone in your body." Met his gaze. She did not blink. She did not look away. "Then I will make sure not to get hit," she said. The crowd went completely silent. Even the wind seemed to stop blowing. Stared at her. His mechanical eye made a clicking sound as it adjusted focus. Then very slowly the corner of his mouth moved. It might have been a smile. It was hard to tell on a face. "Brave words," he said. "Stupid but brave." He straightened up and addressed the whole crowd again. "Training begins tomorrow at first light. Tonight you will find your rooms and rest. Enjoy it. It will be the last easy night you have for a long time." The students began moving toward the dormitory building, followed them. She could feel eyes on her back. Everyone was watching her. Everyone was waiting to see her fail. The dormitory was a massive structure with hundreds of rooms. Each student had their own space. Found her room on the 3rd floor. It was small and simple. A bed, a desk, a storage unit. The bed was too big for her, made for creatures twice her size. She did not mind. She put down her bag and sat on the edge of the bed. For the first time since arriving, she let out a long breath. She was here. She was really here, at the deadliest academy in the galaxy, surrounded by aliens who could kill her without effort. Her hands were shaking slightly. She looked at them and laughed softly. "Okay," she said to herself, "maybe I am a little scared." But being scared was not the same as giving up. Fear was just a feeling. It could not control her unless she let it. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the red sky was getting darker as night approached. She could see other students walking below. Giants, predators, killers. And one small human girl who refused to run away. Tomorrow, training would begin. Tomorrow, she would show them what she could do. She did not know if she would survive. She did not know if she would succeed. But she knew one thing for certain. She would not give up, ever. There was a sound at her door. Someone knocked, walked over and opened it. Standing outside was a boy, a human boy. He was tall and thin with messy black hair and tired eyes. He looked as shocked to see her as she was to see him. "You're human," he said. "So are you," she replied. They stared at each other for a moment, then smiled. She said, "Want to come in? I think we have a lot to talk about." The boy nodded slowly. And yes, I think we do." He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. Two humans at Academy, two mistakes in the system, two small creatures in a world of giants. Maybe, just maybe, they would not have to face this alone. 2 weeks passed at Academy. Every day was hard, every day tested its limits, but she survived. The morning exercises were brutal: running, climbing, fighting. The alien students moved with power and speed that could not match. When they lifted weights, they carried boulders. When lifted weights, the other students laughed. But notice something interesting. The aliens were strong, they were fast, but they got tired quickly. After an hour of hard exercise, many of them needed to rest. They breathed heavily. They sat down. They drank water and recovered. Was still going. She was not as strong as them. She was not as fast, but she could keep moving when they stopped. She could run for hours without stopping. She could push through pain that made others quit. Humans were not strong, but humans were stubborn. Their bodies were built to last. The instructors noticed, watched her during training. His mechanical eye followed her movements. He said nothing but saw him watching. Trained beside her every day. He was not as cheerful as he was quiet and serious, but he worked just as hard. They helped each other. When struggled with a heavy object, assisted. When fell during climbing, pulled him up. The other students still laughed at them. They called them insects. They called them prey, but the laughter was becoming less frequent. Then came the first trial. It was announced on a cold morning. All new students gathered in the main hall. Instructor stood before them with his arms crossed. "The first trial begins today," he said. "You will be dropped into the Crimson Valley. You will have no weapons, no supplies, no help. You must survive for 5 days and return to the extraction point. Anyone who fails to return will be considered dead." The students murmured among themselves. Some looked nervous, some looked excited. "The valley is filled with dangers," continued. "Wild beasts, poisonous plants, extreme temperatures. Many students die in the first trial every year. If you are too weak, stay behind. No one will blame you." His eye moved too. He was giving her a chance to quit. She smiled at him. Made a sound that might have been a grunt. "Transport leaves in 1 hour. Prepare yourselves." Found outside the hall, his face was pale. 5 days, he said, in a death valley with no supplies. "Sounds fun," said. "Fun, we could die, actually die." She looked at him, her smile softened a little. "Listen to me. I know we are smaller than them, I know we are weaker, but we have something they don't have." "What?" "Millions of years of evolution. Our ancestors survived ice ages, famines, and predators. They walked across continents. They hunted animals 10 times their size, not because they were strong, but because they never, ever gave up." Stared at her, then he took a deep breath. "You're crazy," he said. "Probably," agreed, "but I'm also still alive, and I plan to stay that way." The transport ship dropped them into the Crimson Valley at midday. 100 students scattered across miles of dangerous terrain. Each student was alone. They had to survive and find their way to the extraction point on the other side of the valley. Landed in a forest of red trees. The leaves were sharp like blades. The ground was covered in dark moss that squished under her feet. Strange sounds came from deep in the woods. Animal sounds, hungry sounds. She did not panic, she did not run. She stood still and observed. First, she needed water. She could hear a stream nearby. She walked toward the sound, being careful not to touch the sharp leaves. The The stream was small but clean. She drank deeply and washed her face. Then she looked around for food. There were berries on some bushes. She did not eat them. They could be poisonous. Instead, she looked for animal tracks. She found some near the water. Small creatures had been drinking here. Found a long, thin branch and sharpened one end with a rock. It was a simple spear. Not much against large predators, but better than nothing. As the day passed, she built a shelter. She used large leaves and branches to create a small tent. It would not protect her from everything, but it would hide her from predators and keep her warm at night. When darkness came, did not sleep. She sat in her shelter with her spear ready. She listened to the sounds of the forest. Something was moving out there, something big. A roar echoed through the trees, then a scream. One of the students had been found by a predator. Stayed silent. She controlled her breathing. She did not move. The night passed slowly. She did not sleep at all. When morning came, she started moving again. She walked steadily toward the extraction point. She did not run. Running would tire her out. Running would make noise. Instead, she moved at a consistent pace that she could maintain for hours. On the second day, she found food. Small animals that looked like rabbits lived in burrows near the stream. Built a simple trap using sticks and vines. It took her several hours, but eventually she caught one. She made a fire using friction and cooked the meat. Other students saw the smoke from her fire, found her camp and demanded her food. "Give it to me, human," the alien said, "or I will take it from your dead body." Stood up slowly. She was still holding her simple spear. "You could kill me," she said calmly, "but I would hurt you first, maybe badly, and then you would have to survive the next 3 days injured. Is my food worth that risk?" The stared at her. It was twice her size. It could crush her easily. But did not look scared. She looked ready, ready to fight, ready to hurt. The made an angry sound and walked away. It would find easier prey. Days passed, kept moving. She slept only a few hours each night, always with one ear listening for danger. She ate what she could find. She drank from streams. She avoided the large predators that roamed the valley. On the fourth day she found. He was hiding in a cave, injured. A beast had attacked him and clawed his leg. "Leave me," he said. "Save yourself." "Don't be stupid," replied. She cleaned his wound with water and wrapped it with cloth torn from her shirt. Then she helped him stand. "We're getting out together," she said. They moved slowly, leaned on for support. It was hard. The extraction point was still miles away. Every step hurt. But did not stop. She could not stop. She had promised her grandmother she would come back. She had promised herself she would survive. Night fell on the fourth day. They were almost there. The extraction point was visible in the distance, a flat clearing with lights around it. But between them and the clearing was a predator, a massive beast with black fur and red eyes. It had been following them for hours, waiting for them to tire. Could barely walk. Running was impossible. The beast moved closer. It was ready to attack. Turned to face it. She held her simple spear in both hands. "Keep moving," she told. "I'll hold it off." "No. Go." Limped toward the extraction point. The beast watched him go, then turned its attention to. The smaller prey would be easier to catch later. The one standing in front of it was the threat. His heart was pounding. Her hands were shaking, but she did not run. She screamed at the beast, a loud, wild scream that echoed through the valley. The creature hesitated. It had never heard prey make such a sound. Did not wait. She charged forward, spear raised. The beast was shocked. Prey did not attack. Prey ran, but this small creature was running toward it. The spear hit the beast's face. It was not a killing blow, but it hurt. The creature roared in pain and anger. Was already moving. She dodged its claws and hit it again, and again. Small wounds, but painful. She was not trying to kill it. She was trying to make it decide she was not worth the effort. The beast roared one more time. Then it turned and ran into the darkness. Stood there breathing hard. Blood from the beast was on her hands. Her simple spear was broken. But she was alive. She turned and walked toward the extraction point, was waiting for her at the edge of the clearing. His eyes were wide with shock. "You fought it," he said. "You actually fought it." Smiled weakly. "I told you, humans don't give up." They crossed the clearing together. The extraction ship was waiting. They had survived the first trial. When the final count was done, 20 students had died. 30 had quit and called for rescue. 50 made it to the extraction point. 2 of them were human. News traveled fast at Academy. Within a day, everyone knew about the humans who survived the first trial. They knew about the small girl who fought a valley beast with a wooden spear. They knew about the 2 weak creatures who walked out of the Crimson Valley when stronger students had died. The laughter stopped. Notice the change immediately. When she walked through the corridors, aliens moved out of her way, not because they feared her strength. They feared something else, something they did not understand. A student approached her in the dining hall. He was young, with fresh armor plates that had never seen battle. His name was like the Academy. "Human," he said, "I wish to speak with you." Looked up from her food. "Okay, speak." Sat down across from her. His massive body made the chair creak. "In the valley," he said slowly, "they say you did not run from the shadow beast. They say you attacked it." "I did." "Why you could not kill it? You are too small, too weak. It makes no sense." Put down her eating utensils. She looked at directly. "On my planet," she said, "there is a type of hunting. We call it persistence hunting. Humans cannot run as fast as most animals. We cannot fight them with our bare hands, but we can follow them for hours, for days. We track them until they are too tired to run anymore, until they collapse from exhaustion. Then we finish them." Stared at her. "That sounds horrible." "Maybe, but it worked. For millions of years it worked. We did not become the dominant species on our planet because we were strong. We became dominant because we never stopped, because we kept going when everything else gave up." Was quiet for a long moment, then he nodded slowly. "I think I understand now," he said. "You are not prey at all, you are something else." He stood up and walked away, returned to her food. Training continued. The exercises were still hard but approached them differently now. She did not try to match the strength of the aliens. Instead, she found ways to use her own abilities. During endurance runs, she outlasted everyone. The instructors made them run for 2 hours, then 3, then 4. One by one, the alien students dropped out. Their powerful muscles burned through energy too quickly. They needed rest. Kept running. Her breathing was steady. Her pace was consistent. She had trained her whole life without knowing it, walking to school, working long hours, never stopping because life never let her stop. At the 5-hour mark, only 3 students were still running, and unnamed. They were known for their silence and speed, but even was struggling. At 6 hours, collapsed, fell shortly after. Kept running. Instructor finally stopped the exercise at 7 hours. He stood in front of as she slowed to a stop. She was tired, her legs hurt, but she was standing. Human said, "How are you still moving?" Smiled, "I don't know how to stop." Something changed inside. It was not respect exactly. It was curiosity. He was looking at her like she was a puzzle he could not solve. Combat training was harder. Could not defeat the alien students in direct fights. They were too strong, too fast, but she learned to survive. She studied their fighting styles. She learned their weaknesses. They were powerful but slow to turn. They relied on their forearms but left their legs unguarded. They were fast but could not take hits. In sparring matches, did not try to win. She tried to last. She dodged. She blocked. She moved in ways that confused her opponents. They expected her to fight like prey, panicked and sloppy. Instead, she fought like water flowing around their attacks. A name challenged her to a match. He was one of the largest students in the class. He had killed 2 beasts in the first trial with his bare hands. "I will break you, human," he said. "I will show everyone that your survival was luck." Stepped into the training ring. She was calm. Her hands were relaxed at her sides. Attacked immediately. 4 arms swung at her with deadly speed. Any one of those hits could kill her. But none of them connected. Moved, she ducked under the first arm. She stepped around the second. She twisted away from the third and fourth. She was not fast enough to outrun his attacks, but she could predict them. She watched his muscles. She saw the movements before they happened. Grew frustrated. He attacked faster, harder. He burned through his energy trying to catch the small creature that kept slipping away. After 10 minutes, he was breathing heavily. After 20, he could barely lift his arms. Was tired too, but she had trained her body for this. She had pushed herself to exhaustion so many times that exhaustion felt normal. She saw her opening. His guard dropped for a moment, moved forward and struck him in the throat. It was not a hard hit. She did not have the strength for a hard hit, but it was precise. It hit exactly where it needed to hit. Choked and stumbled backward. He fell to one knee, gasping for air. The match was over, had won. The training hall was silent. Every student stared at her. This small creature, this weak human, had just defeated one of the strongest students in the class. Looked around at them, then she smiled. That smile, that was what scared them most. She smiled during training. She smiled during pain. She smiled when facing death. It was not a happy smile, it was something else. Something that said she was not afraid, something that said she enjoyed this. The aliens began to whisper about her. They called her the smiling demon. They said she was cursed. They said she was not really human at all. Heard the whispers and laughed. He had become stronger too, not as strange as, but he had learned from her. He had learned that survival was not about power, it was about will. Months passed. The humans rose in the rankings. They were not at the top. They could not beat the strongest students in direct combat, but they survived everything, every trial, every test, every challenge that was supposed to kill them. Other students began to approach them, not to threaten, to learn. The young became their friend. He trained with them. He learned their techniques. He saw that strength alone was not enough. Even the silent joined their group. She respected their endurance. She wanted to understand how creatures so weak could survive so long. The group became something new, different species working together, learning from each other. This was not normal at Academy. This was not how things were done. But it worked. When the mid-year trials came, their group had the highest survival rate in the class. Not because they were the strongest, because they supported each other, because they did not give up. Instructor watched them with his mechanical eye. He saw what was happening. He saw the change that the humans were causing. One night he found alone on the training grounds. She was practicing with a staff, moving through exercises slowly and carefully. "Human," he said, "you have caused problems." Stopped and looked at him. Problems. The other students, they are changing, they are becoming soft, helping each other. This is not the way of. Is it bad to help each other? Was silent for a moment. I do not know. I have been training warriors for 40 years. I have always believed that only the strong should survive, but you are not strong, and yet you survive. It makes me question things. Smiled at him. Maybe strength is not what you think it is. Grunted, maybe we will see. He walked away into the darkness, returned to her practice. She did not know what the future held. She did not know if she would survive until graduation, but she knew that she had already changed something. She had shown everyone that weakness was not the same as failure. And she was just getting started. The message came from the Galactic Education Council on a quiet morning. It was addressed to the Academy commander, a massive named General Thoros who had led armies across 3 systems. He read the message twice. Then he read it a third time. There had been a mistake. 2 human students had been assigned to military academy by error. A clerk in the assignment office had confused file numbers. The humans were supposed to go to the Diplomatic Arts Institute on planet Sira, a soft school, a safe school, a place where weak species learn to talk instead of fight. The error had gone unnoticed for almost a full year. By now, those humans should have been dead. No human could survive academy. It was impossible. General Thoros checked the student records. Both humans were still alive. Not only alive, but performing above average in survival ratings. The female had one of the highest endurance scores in the entire first-year class. This was unprecedented. This was impossible, and yet here was the proof. The general summoned the humans to his office and stood before the massive desk. General Thoros sat behind it like a mountain of muscle and armor. His eyes were cold and calculating. "Do you know why you are here?" he asked. "No, General," replied. Her voice was calm and respectful. "There has been a discovery. Your assignment to this academy was an error. You were never supposed to be here." Felt her heart skip, beside her tensed. "The Galactic Education Council has apologized for the mistake," the general continued. "They have arranged immediate transfer to the Diplomatic Arts Institute. You will leave tomorrow." Silence filled the room, processed the words. A mistake. It had all been a mistake from the beginning. She should have felt relief. She should have been happy to escape this deadly place. She could go somewhere safe, somewhere easy, somewhere she would not have to fight for her life every single day. But something inside her refused. "General," she said slowly, "may I speak?" The general raised one armored eyebrow. "Speak." "With respect, I do not wish to transfer." The room became very quiet, stared at her with wide eyes. The general leaned forward. "You want to stay, here, at the deadliest military academy in the sector?" "Yes." "Why, you are human. You do not belong here. This place was not made for creatures like you." Took a deep breath. She had thought about this moment many times. She had wondered what she would do if given a choice. Now the choice was here. "General," she said, "when I first arrived, everyone told me I would die. The students laughed at me. The instructors expected me to fail. Every day I woke up knowing that I was the weakest creature on this planet." She paused. The general watched her with unreadable eyes. "But I survived. Not because I was strong. Not because I was fast. I survived because I refused to give up. Because humans do not know how to quit. Because my ancestors walked across continents and hunted beasts with rocks and sticks, and they never ever stopped." Her voice grew stronger. "I have learned more here in 1 year than I would have learned in 10 years at a diplomatic school. I have pushed myself beyond every limit I thought I had. I have made friends from species that were supposed to be my enemies. I have shown everyone that weakness is not the same as failure." She looked directly into the general's eyes. "A mistake brought me here, but excellence is keeping me. I will not leave, not now, not ever." The room was silent. General Thoros did not move. His face was like stone. Then he turned to, "And you, do you also wish to stay?" Was quiet for a moment. He looked at. She did not look back at him. She had made her choice. He had to make his own. "Yes," he said finally, "I will stay." General Thoros leaned back in his massive chair. For the first time, something like a smile crossed his face. "Interesting," he said, "very interesting." He pressed a button on his desk. The door opened and instructor walked in. He had been listening from outside. "You heard everything?" the general asked. "I did," replied. He looked at the 2 humans with his mechanical eye. "They are strange creatures, but they have earned their place." The general nodded slowly. "I will inform the council that the students have declined transfer. They will remain at Academy as official students. Felt something warm spread through her chest. She had done it. She had chosen her path. There is one more thing, the general said. Your survival has attracted attention. The other academies, the military commanders, the council itself, they are all watching you. They want to know if humans can truly compete with the warrior species. We can, said simply. Perhaps we will see in the years to come. The general waved his hand. You are dismissed. And walked out of the office. The door closed behind them. They stood in the corridor looking at each other. We could have left, said quietly. We could have gone somewhere safe. I know. Are we crazy? Smiled. That same smile that had become famous throughout the academy. The smile that scared predators and confused enemies. Probably, she said, but I would rather be crazy here than safe somewhere else. Laughed. It was a tired laugh, but genuine. My family is going to kill me when they find out. Tell them you're becoming a warrior. That sounds impressive. It does, doesn't it? They walked back toward the training grounds. On the way, they passed other students. The aliens looked at them differently now, not with contempt, not with amusement, with something else. Respect, fear, wonder. The young ran up to them. I heard what happened, he said. The whole academy is talking about it. You were offered a way out and you refused. News travels fast, said. It does here. Nothing stays secret for long. Looked at her with admiration. You are either the bravest human who ever lived or the most foolish. Maybe both, admitted. The appeared from the shadows. She rarely spoke, but when she did, her words mattered. The others are afraid of you now, she said quietly. Not because you are strong, because you chose to stay when you could leave. They do not understand that kind of courage. Looked around at her friends. Two humans. 4 different species standing together in a place designed to create killers. Maybe that's what we're here to teach them, she said. That courage is not about being strong. It's about staying when everything tells you to run. That night sat alone on the roof of the dormitory. The red sky was full of unfamiliar stars. The 2 suns had set, and the darkness was deep and quiet. She thought about her grandmother back on Earth. She thought about the small apartment in Seoul. She thought about the simple life she had left behind. She did not regret her choice. She could not regret it. This was where she belonged, not because she was meant to be a warrior, but because she was meant to prove something. Humans were small, humans were weak, humans were soft. But humans never gave up. Humans survived. Humans adapted. Humans found ways to win when winning seemed impossible. The galaxy had underestimated her species. Every alien race looked at humans and saw prey. They saw weakness. They saw creatures that did not deserve respect. Intended to change that, one day at a time, one trial at a time, one impossible victory at a time. She looked up at the stars and smiled. Hello, galaxy, she said softly. You made a mistake bringing me here, but I'm going to turn that mistake into something beautiful. Somewhere in the darkness, a beast howled. The sound echoed across the mountains. It was a sound of hunger, a sound of danger. Did not flinch, she did not look away. She just kept smiling. The deadliest academy in the galaxy had tried to break her. It had failed. And now, its smallest students were about to change everything. The story was just beginning.